Quick question. How much do you think it costs to turf a football field? The answer is somewhere between 1.5 and $2 million. And if you ever heard me ask that, then the next step you probably know, which is I get to say that we have to call OSHA because the grounds crew is working overtime. And I have to call the investors to tell them that their money's being wasted every time an opponent moves the goalpost. Let's make it make sense.
Welcome to football.
Welcome to football.
So what is moving the goalpost? Moving the goalpost is when somebody sets a standard for evidence for you to show that a claim is true. And then the second you meet it, they change that standard or reject the evidence that you provided for no reason whatsoever and just assume the standard isn't met. Now, for today, I'm not going to do a lot of debate, bro, or philosophy vocabulary. I'm not going to go into jargon. I want to keep this light. I want to show you what it means to move the goalposts, where I think that comes from, especially in debate circles online, and what we can do about it. We're going to have some fun with this because it's a common thing and it is something that drives me up the wall. So when something drives me up the wall, I have to go after it much, much harder. No pause whatsoever. So, simple example. Somebody will say something like, liquid death is very nutritional water and it has 0 calories. Another person will say, show me evidence of that. And then you just show the nutritional facts on the can. And then the second person says, do you really want to trust that can? Or, well, does 0 really mean 0? It might have 0.01. That's moving the goalpost. Now, moving the goalpost is not when you make a claim and you present evidence and somebody has a rebuttal. Now, that's just a rebuttal. If somebody presents counter evidence, or say you present a study and somebody presents a newer study, that's not moving the goalpost. It's just a rebuttal. If somebody gives an honest look at your evidence and points out an objection or a flaw, that's also not moving the goalpost. That's also just an honest critique, and you should probably engage with it. Or if you presented evidence that doesn't actually address the claim and they point that out, right? If instead of showing the nutritional facts on the can, you show a map that tells you where they produce the water, that doesn't address the claim. So it wouldn't be moving the goalposts to point that out. Now, in online debate circles, if you do get somebody who engages directly with what you said, well, congrats. You found a unicorn. It's not a common thing. And you may be having what's super rare, which is an honest conversation. Pat yourself on the back. Run out of the room. Cheer. Throw a parade. Do something like that. Chances are you're probably going to encounter the other thing. And you may be wondering, where does this come from? I have some thoughts. The first thought that I have is, and probably the front runner, the only thought, I'm making these up as I go, is debate teams. A lot of people in online debates come from this debate team world where concessions mean you lose. You have to argue a point until you're blue in the face. They don't really teach good habits in those. And that translates into this space online where if you're shown evidence of something, if you concede one point, just today, somebody told me that a valid argument is when one premise of an argument is conceded. We know that that's not what that is. And if you don't, that is a topic that will be coming down. But regardless of all of that, that's impossible. That's an impossible standard to set in a conversation, that just one premise Being conceited means the conversation's over. We can't make any progress that way. It's impossible. We'll be in a stalemate forever. We'll be talking about every single topic until we're dead and never get anywhere. It's not a fair thing to do. The issue with this debate culture that comes over to online communities is that winning is perceived as truth. Winning means you're correct. Winning means you get the trophy. I don't really understand it. A lot of people act like there's some standings, or like somebody is going to set some playoffs or something. People actually do lists to rank people in online debates, really just based on rhetoric, not even based on truth. And it doesn't even matter, because in these conversations, when we're engaging online, we're supposed to be exchanging information. We're supposed to be learning. But instead, it turns into this, I just argued that aliens are real, but I'm a better arguer than you, so I won. Doesn't change whether or not aliens are real. It doesn't change whether or not the earth is flat. It doesn't change whether or not there's a God. It's just this, I need to pat myself on the back culture. I don't understand it, but it does, at least in my opinion, come from this broader culture of academic debate teams. What happens in those places is that one team gets proposition A, another team gets negation. So, hey, Nazis are good. Nazis are not good. We go at each other. Who knows? Same thing happens often in the news. You get person who is on the right, person who is on the left. They both talk. What's the truth? Who knows? Doesn't matter what the facts are. So for that reason, since outlasting is now the victory, it doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter what you're presented. We've seen leaders of the free world get presented with paperwork that shows that their claims are wrong in real time, and they just go, nope, I don't see it. They bring something else out. That's the way the thing works. And so when we are having these minuscule conversations in comparison, the stakes are insane. I don't understand. But the point is that everybody says, here's some information I've never seen. I have to act like I'm an expert at it, or I have to pretend that it doesn't exist or it's not enough, or move to a new claim and never acknowledge that I was shown evidence that showed that either I was wrong or the other person was right, or both. It's not honest. So you might be thinking, how do I spot moving the goalpost? There's some warning signs. One of my favorites is hearing the words, yeah, but. Like you show somebody, sometimes you'll have a conversation, say, about the gender wage gap. Gender wage gap is a semi-common topic. And there are studies that show specifically, let's just stay in the United States. You could show a study, or you could show statistics that demonstrate the gender wage gap. You could show that directly to a person. And without even looking, they will immediately have a critique. They pulled it right out of here. Here's the critique. It's because women X. They don't have evidence of that. Or they'll say, what biased source is this? They don't have evidence of that. Oh, yeah, but. That's the yeah, but. Sometimes they might even say, well, you only have one study. They only asked for one study. Why do you need another study? Well, I need more than one study. Or they might say, I'm not convinced. They'll just repeat the claim. It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. I would also consider that moving the goalposts. We're just not going to abide by the agreement that we made in the dialogue at the beginning. Another thing you might see is sealioning. Sealioning's a good one. Sealioning is when it's almost like the why game that little kids play. It's when somebody asks you for evidence, and then they ask you for more evidence, and then they ask you for more evidence, and then they ask you for more evidence. And then they ask you for more evidence. You want to guess what happens next? They ask you for more evidence. And then right after that, when you think you're done, but you're actually not, because they're going to ask you for more evidence. And they're going to ask you for more. And that's sealioning. Sealioning is super annoying because at some point you're going to get frustrated and be like, what else do you need? 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to accuse you of being emotional, being frustrated. But the point was to get you emotional and frustrated, because who's not going to do that when you're being annoying, right? So now that we've locked in those things, what do you do? There's some very easy things you can do. Like, one of the things I like to do is called gaining agreement. The less corporate term would be like, just, hey, get a sign off. Hey, can we just make sure we understand each other? What you're saying is that this isn't true. And the best way to determine if it is true is this. So if I show you this, we're good. The thing that is the spouse to what I just said is slowing down. Keep that conversation in first gear. You may hear me refer to some people as timeshare salespeople. I hate that. I hate when somebody is in a conversation with me and instead of engaging step by step and looking at each point so that everything is absorbed, they want to move really fast. They want to go directly to the next point and the next point and the next point. That's not really a productive way to address the information that we're looking at. It's a tactic so that they can gloss over your argument and then just say you didn't address things. You might see people gish gallop. You might see people interrupt and then take you down some other line of information, almost as if they want you to forget the original line of information. You might see someone take you down another line of information, some other dialogue tree, almost as if they want you to forget your initial argument. In addition to all this, another thing that you can do is make your arguments modular. And what I mean by that is address one point at a time. Take this point out and just go, we're going to look at this, and I want you to agree that this point right here is true. And then we're going to take the other point next to it, and that one is true. And once you've built the foundation, they can't come across later and bulldoze the whole thing. It's too late. They've already agreed. Unless they have a really good reason to go back, they now have agreed to what you want them to sign off on. And then this is for anybody who's watching this video. I'm going to give you this bit. I've used it a billion times. If you can pull this off, I will not ask for a copyright nickel. When you see someone doing the thing, when you see them moving the goalposts, take my football bit. Ask them how much it costs to resod Wimbledon. Ask them how much they think it costs to put turf down in all the fields that they're going to play soccer on in the Olympics. Make it your own, but just let them know we're not going to abide by people moving goalposts on us. And on our end, what we can do is just know that if you concede a specific point, it does not mean the end of the world. It just means you're engaging honestly. And then for everybody, whether you're on my side or not, if your argument only works when the goalposts keep moving, it's not an argument. It's an escape plan. I hope that made it make sense. Like, share, subscribe to End of a Species, and I'll see you next time.